Nonetheless, these actions culminated in destroying the sovereign and territorial integrity and the self-deterministic principle of the Westphalian Peace Treaty, principles of which are also enshrined in the UN Charter as it applies to Ukraine. Now, mind you, this also threatens our sovereignty, our territorial integrity, our self-determinism. And you may be surprised at how this is being done. Can anyone say robber barons? But back to Ukraine. This was done in order to further the universal deep state's goal to move geopolitical boundaries closer to the quest of controlling and integrating the heartland of Central Asia, which happens to be located where the Russian Federation is, and view or dislocate all Eastern Orthodox Christians in Eastern Ukraine. To do so, then so be it. It's just a little detail on the way to the New World Order. So in order to repeat in the United States what was done in Ukraine, that is overthrowing a duly elected president, Viktor Yanukovych, over geopolitical and domestic policy differences, we see this impeachment trial farce perpetrated on the American people in the attempt to oust President Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States. Now, who ordered this impeachment? Really, who ordered it? Who do you think ordered it? I think that an oligarch ordered it. I think more than one oligarch ordered it. Did they have a compelling influence over entities in the United States political system to order this? Is there a pattern of behavior to suggest this? At this time, I want to say thank you for being patient with me with this is just the way I think and the way I roll, and I need to set up the context for this video on different levels in order that viewers and listeners get some depth of the scope of what is happening in Washington. And as I get doing this more, I'll be better at it. Where does Ukraine fit in? I want you to understand the geopolitics of this from a Christian perspective. But going back to that symbolism thing that the deep state cultural Marxist ideologue referred to in order to justify their criminal behaviors and in order to activate their shock troops on the ground into action, let's refer to the valiant Congressman Douglas Collins. And I want to take a moment to thank him and his colleagues, for if it weren't for such Republican vanguards, our president would have been ousted long ago. But remember, Representative Collins widely celebrated outrage on the 18th of December when he decries the left's character portrayal of newly elected President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, as being a bee-slapped individual. The question then is, bee-slapped by who? We are led to think President Donald J. Trump. However, actually, the left's portrayal may be actually a whistle to Zelensky to not follow through on plans to work with Russia, because Kolomoisky, kingmaker, is playing both sides of the fence by making noise about working with Russia. What kind of whistling is this? And who exactly is this whistler? Nonetheless, it is widely known that Zelensky has long and abiding ties to Igor Kolomoisky, the actual owner of Burisma, and who you all need to understand is considered amongst the wealthiest oligarch in Ukraine. He's one who is characterized at times as acting like a Wild West warlord, noted for his ability to not let scruples get in the way of him getting what he wants. He is the epitome of by any way or any means necessary. What I'm getting at is that, and what the Democrats well know, is that Zelensky may be being bee-slapped by his longtime friend Kolomoisky, who is signaling to the United States government that he's the actual power behind the throne. You see, the former President Petro Poroshenko lost the last election because he was disobedient. He nationalized Privatbank, created by Kolomoisky and Gennady Bogolubov. And now perhaps Zelensky, the new president, will be more obedient and return Privatbank to Kolomoisky? Well, that is the general speculation anyway. And this is the man who may have wanted Hillary Clinton to succeed Barack Obama and had the means and the motivation and the inclination to do so. This is the man who may have collaborated with the Democratic National Committee to help produce the Steele dossier because he saw in Donald J. Trump someone to be reckoned with. In other words, he didn't see a lackey in Donald Trump. Therefore, Donald Trump had to be defeated by any means necessary. Only a strange thing happened on the way to the presidency. Kolomoisky and his collaborators were thwarted by none other than the election of President Donald J. Trump. In other words, by the will of the people of the United States. Yes, folks, there was a smackdown, and the American people delivered it. Mind you, affected by this smackdown were such folks as George Soros and others like him. So yes, America, give yourself a hand. But to the point, Kolomoisky has been known as a corporate raider, not shy about using thugs to violently take over companies. Thus, Rudy Giuliani has done the United States a great service in putting a spotlight on this man and on his dealings in this country. And if you think about this, folks, think about it well. You will realize the gargantuan scope of what has been perpetrated on us, the average person, the deplorable Christian, gun-holding USA, red-blooded American who lives in what they call the flyover and rural small-town America. It all makes a person wonder a bit about the judgment of Joe Biden, his company, who seeks to become president of the United States. I'm going to leave many links for folks who want to see documents for themselves. I have listed my sources in the links below. As I said earlier, the thing about Kolomoisky, he is a type of kingmaker. He went on national television in Ukraine to voice his ire against Poroshenko because Petro Poroshenko was being forced by the International Money Fund to nationalize Kolomoisky's and Bogolubov's bank, Privat Bank, which had a circulated share of 1/5 of the financial system of Ukraine. The source of Privat Bank's money laundering were the deposits of ordinary citizens, 20 million fold, I read, and Kolomoisky and his collaborators laundered about the equivalent of 450 billion USD to Privat Bank and many entities attached to it, according to their Optima schemes. And as one report says, their specialty was executing money laundering schemes in the United States, in Delaware, Florida, Ohio, Oregon, Texas, Kentucky, West Virginia. They thought no one was looking, and the folks they robbed suffered. In one case, in Warren, Ohio, 162 employees lost their jobs right here in the United States when Kolomoisky and partner Bogolubov acquired a United States steel processing facility through one of their laundering entities. But let's talk about Kolomoisky a bit further. I can't say this enough. Kolomoisky once owned, or still owns, Privat Banks, started it with Gennady Bogolubov in 1992. He also owns ferroalloys, mineral concerns in Ukraine. He owns airlines in Cyprus and Sweden, real estate, commercial real estate in Ukraine and in the United States, and he owns other mineral and hydrocarbon concerns throughout the world. He has an interest in Gas, the national gas company of Ukraine, and he owns media enterprises. Needless to say, he is considered a very powerful individual in Ukraine. It is said that he may own people in Ukraine. Most rich people do. Does he own people in the United States?